morning, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Wake and Take. This is now episode 15. Throw you 3 5s for that. We had some news come in yesterday. It slowed down a bit, free agency, obviously, as players start to get signed and everything, and all the bigger stories we already know the answers to, but there were still some free agency signings with fantasy football implications, so I'm excited to talk to you guys about that. And I want to say happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. I'm rocking the green turtleneck today instead of the usual black. If any of you are not wearing green, I'm sending a pinch your way. So you can't forget that you're supposed to wear green today or else you're going to get pinched on the Wake and Take. That's just how it's going to go. But without further ado, let's start talking about some football. All right, so I'm just going to go laundry list style today. I wrote down some of the news from yesterday, and I'm just going to give you my takes, give you my reactions. First off, I had the Bears. They've signed D'Onta Foreman. Wow, to be honest. It makes sense that they want to bring in a second running back. I didn't quite expect it. Khalil Herbert had been decent enough when he was given opportunity, when he was the bell cow for the Bears. So bringing in D'Onta Foreman definitely hurts Khalil Herbert's value. They're both between the tackles, grinders, essentially. With D'Onta Foreman probably a little bit better of a pass catcher, maybe, but it's definitely close. If you were holding on to Khalil Herbert, hoping that he would be the workhorse for the Bears, that's looking like that's not going to happen. We're going to be looking at this Bears offense as Justin Fields probably being the leading rusher, with D'Onta Foreman and Khalil Herbert splitting carries probably pretty evenly. Khalil Herbert maybe slightly more, just at least at the beginning of the season since he's been with the Bears, but I know D'Onta Foreman last season was coming off the Achilles injury, but he looked great to end the year and had more than a few good games. Khalil Herbert, kind of the same when given opportunity. He had some good games. So it's definitely an interesting signing. They had brought back Treston Ebner, so I guess they have their kind of pass catcher, explosive running back. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. I wish that they would just roll with Khalil Herbert, but they're rolling with Khalil Herbert and D'Onta Foreman next season. Probably stay away from both for fantasy, to be honest. You're never going to feel confident starting either, ever, really, unless one of them gets injured. So, if you're a Bears fan, I could see you rostering both, but I don't see how you could have a preference between the two. I just don't see it. I'm gonna talk about some backup quarterbacks that got signed now. Drew Lock re-signed with the Seahawks. He's backing up Drew Lock yet again. It wasn't too expensive of a contract, and that's always good for a backup quarterback. The Seahawks are excited about that. They get to bring in a guy who didn't do anything for them really last season, considering Geno Smith did so well. But it's always good to keep your QB room intact and to not bring in anyone else and just roll with what you've got, and maybe they'll draft someone, I don't know, to stay behind Geno and learn, but Drew Lock will be their backup. Gardner Minshew signed with the Colts. That's today's title. What is the future of the Colts? Is it Gardner Minshew? It's probably not Gardner Minshew, but could we see him come out and start week 1? Yes. Could we see him start and come out week 2? Yes. I think that we will see Gardner Minshew play a couple games at least to begin the season. The Colts have the number 4 overall draft pick. They're more than likely going quarterback there. Gardner Minshew, though, a good quarterback, a good distributor, a guy who is not really going to lose you the game. So I think it makes sense to throw him out there to begin the season. Let the rookie just watch, let the rookie learn. It's probably going to end up being Will Levis. I don't think that the Colts are the type of the organization to take the athletic type quarterback in Anthony Richardson. So I think if the Colts get Will Levis, he could start a little bit sooner than most quarterbacks would, that are, rookie quarterbacks that have a suitable starter in front of them. But Gardner Minshew, I think he's going to be starting for a couple weeks. And I like him. He's a really good guy. And to see him land on the Colts where he's going to at least get kind of one more shot as a starter, I don't mind it at all. Not Paris Campbell. Ashton Doolin was re-signed by them. Alec Pierce is a good wide receiver, good enough. And then, of course, Michael Pittman is there. And, he's a true alpha, true great wide receiver. So I mean, it's not a bad core at all. And with Jelani Woods, freak athletic tight end, I mean, that's a decent passing attack for sure. And Gardner Minshew, I like it. I like it a lot. And I mean, I think he could succeed at least for a few weeks there. But I do think sooner than later, we will see whatever rookie quarterback that the Colts draft. Which, I mean, to be honest, that's a good thing for NFL purposes. It's a good thing for fantasy purposes. You don't need instant gratification in fantasy football, especially in Dynasty. So, you can probably draft whoever the Colts draft in your Superflex drafts. They're going to go a little later, but I could see them ending up being a little bit more successful than some of these rookies that are thrown to the wolves immediately. So that's something to keep your eye on. I'm assuming it's going to be Will Levis. But, if the Texans or the Panthers don't take Stroud or don't take Bryce Young for some reason, it's probably going to be one of those. So Gardner Minshew starting for a couple weeks probably, but then, the rookie's going to come in and take over the Tides. Another backup quarterback was signed by the Eagles. They brought in Marcus Mariota. I think that's a great backup quarterback, to be honest. He was a pretty good starter for the Falcons last season. I'm going to end it at pretty good, but the Falcons offense in general was pretty efficient with him at the helm. They were consistently moving the ball down the field, even if they weren't putting up tons and tons and tons of points. And he did lose the Falcons a couple games when he was playing well, which was 80% of the time. They looked good. So I think he's a fantastic backup quarterback, especially for the Eagles. It's a great system for him. If Jalen Hurts ever misses time, he's going to produce well, very well. So talk about a handcuff quarterback. I think Marcus Mariota is going to be one of those kind of guys. If you own Jalen Hurts, I think you're going to have to roster Marcus Mariota, if I'm being completely honest. Jalen Hurts does, of course, have some injury concerns. He hasn't played a full season the past 2 years, even if he's only missed like a couple weeks. So I mean, get Marcus Mariota if you own Jalen Hurts in Superflex leagues. Why not? I think when he does come in, if it's for a week or two, maybe even fantasy football championship week, just because the Eagles have already locked down a nice seed. I mean, yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I think that's the perfect backup quarterback for the Eagles, and having a good backup quarterback cannot be understated. That's one reason why the Cardinals are kind of making me scratch my head, because there's these concerns with Kyler Murray about, is he going to be able to start week one? And I mean, the answer is probably not, but they haven't brought in any of these backup quarterbacks that were on the market. They've let everyone go at this point. I think the only guy left is like Matt Ryan. So wow, to be honest. But yeah, I like the signing by the Eagles. That's all I have for backup quarterbacks. Some other signings from around the league. This is backups again, still though. A backup tight end, Robert Tonyan, who was starting on the Packers, of course, is now probably going to be backing up Cole Kmet. I'm not expecting a 50-50 kind of thing, maybe a 70-30, kind of like the Hunter Renfrow, Jonnu Smith kind of Patriots tight end setup from last season, not from 2 seasons ago, but from last season, where Hunter Henry was getting the bulk, but Jonnu Smith was sometimes getting a couple catches here and there. I don't think Robert Tonyan is ever going to be fantasy relevant again unless Kmet gets hurt. And if you own Kmet, I'm not going to be too worried about it. You might lose a touchdown or two over the course of the season, but nothing to be crazy concerned about. He's still pretty athletic tight end on what projects to be a better offense than it was last year. So yeah, Robert Tonyan to the Bears. Cole Kmet owners, don't worry about it too much. But I mean, he took a hit, but just a small hit in value. And I know you're going to have people trying to trade for him. Like, oh, Robert Tonyan's there now, so Cole Kmet's not going to be able to do anything. That's not true. Cole Kmet's going to be totally fine. And it's just over the course of the year, probably like 20 to 30 points that were taken away from him, which, I mean, hurts, but in the grand scheme, not too much. The Giants are bringing back Darius Slayton. Makes sense. It's a good move for them. They also went out and signed Paris Campbell, of course, a great athlete, super fast kind of guy, kind of a one-trick pony. But, I mean, he's got a great prospect profile. And if the Giants can unlock that, like they have done with, I mean, tons of people on the team with the new coaching staff. Brian Daboll's come in. Saquon Barkley bounced back. Daniel Jones looked good. They have unlocked Isaiah Hodgins. Wan'Dale Robinson looked good when he was playing. Daniel Bellinger was looking good. I mean, so everyone on the Giants, we were talking about Richie James for weeks. So, I mean, to put a hyper athlete like Paris Campbell on the Giants, I've got high hopes. I mean, I think that he could truly be unlocked. I don't think he's going to be someone that you can start every week, but he is someone that you're probably going to be able to start when they're playing the Eagles, when they're playing the Cowboys, when they're playing another high-scoring offense. If you want to shoot for the stars, he's sometimes going to hit the stars. I think we could see more than a few like 80-yard, one touchdown kind of games for Paris Campbell over the course of the year. Just because, I mean, he's the only wide receiver on that team that has that kind of profile, that has that skill set. So, I mean, I'm probably going to go out and trade for Paris Campbell, to be honest. He's not going to be too expensive to acquire, even with the decent landing spot. That's still a quote-unquote crowded wide receiver room. So you're probably going to be able to get him, and it's not going to cost too much. And I think you're going to be able to flex him a couple weeks over the year. I really do. So that's a good signing for them. And I mean, the Giants as a whole, they're looking, I mean, a lot better in the passing attack. Offseason, we were definitely worried about what they would do. They didn't have anyone, but they've brought in Darren Waller. They've re-signed basically their entire core, and they went out and got Paris Campbell. So, I mean, it's a budget room, but it's a decent room. It's a decent room for sure. Speaking of good athletes going to teams that need the wide receiver help, DJ Chark has signed with the Carolina Panthers. Or not signed, he's visiting with the Panthers today. Sorry, fellas. I think he probably will end up being signed. He's probably looking at these list of names outside of Julio Jones, obviously, and Odell Beckham if he plays well, and Adam Thielen. I mean, like, outside of these aging guys, he's probably the best wide receiver available in the free agency class. So the Panthers would be getting a pretty good wide receiver. He's got a great profile. Go to PlayerProfiler.com to check it out. I mean, he'd be the only guy. It would be him and Hayden Hurst that they signed a couple days ago, which is, I mean, not great, but at least better than Laviska Shenault only. And Terrace Marshall, I think, is still there, but maybe not. But yeah, so the Panthers looking rough in the passing attack, but they are having DJ Chark come visit today. If they do sign him, I think that would be pretty good. I think that would help out a lot, at least in terms of football. I don't know much about fantasy football relevancy there because we're still going to be talking about a rookie quarterback throwing the ball. And I mean, this Panthers team is going to have some rough sledding next season for sure. Speaking of rough sledding, the Buccaneers, they have not the greatest offensive line. They've brought in Chase Edmonds to back up Rachaad White. I'm not crazy concerned, to be honest, but you can't lie. You're not going to be able to lie about this. Chase Edmonds will eat into Rachaad White's passing work to some degree. Maybe like 3 catches a game. Nothing crazy, but I mean, that is volume that's going to be taken away. He's only signed a veteran minimum deal, so it's not like they're overpaying him or really, really want him there. At the end of the day, it is mostly a depth piece, but you do have to remember what his skill set is and the fact that he's going to have a whole off season to train with this coaching staff and everything. And the fact that, I mean, they didn't fully trust Rachaad White last season. They were bringing back Leonard Fournette, not fully healthy, and still leaning on Fournette, not fully healthy, more than they were a fully healthy Rachaad White throughout the year. So Rachaad White, great profile, I think, and hyped here at Player Profiler, but I don't think we're going to see him truly unlock the way that a lot of fantasy players want him to be, especially with this Chase Edmonds signing. I think he will eat into the passing load. Just not too much, but definitely to some degree, and that will hurt. I see here on the TikTok comments, which was going to be my next thing anyway. Yes, Mike Gesicki did sign with the New England Patriots. It happens after they trade Jonnu Smith. So they're still rolling with 2 tight ends. Mike Gesicki, obviously much more athletic than Hunter Henry. I have no idea how to read into this, to be honest. I'm expecting, I guess, a 50-50, both of them running routes. Hunter Henry probably more than likely blocking more than Mike Gesicki, just given the profile. But, I mean, Hunter Henry was Mac Jones' favorite target, to be honest, and probably is his favorite target going into this next season with Jacoby Myers leaving. So, I mean, it's honestly just a weird signing to me. I don't know why the Patriots have to keep doing this. I don't know why they have to keep paying up for tight ends like they did Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry a couple seasons ago. Now they're doing it with Mike Gesicki. I don't think we're gonna see the craziest thing. Like I just can't imagine him being Gronk 2.0, even with the profile. Maybe he is. Maybe I could be wrong, but I'm not gonna get too excited about that landing spot for sure. If anything, Unfortunately, even in one of my really deep, I'm talking 70 roster spot, like IDP league, like full NFL team roster type thing, I own Mike Gesicki and Hunter Henry, and I'm a little peeved about it. I don't like, what am I supposed to do about that, owning both the Patriots tight ends? I was already upset enough about having to roster Hunter Henry, to be honest. So, yeah, it just hurts, to be honest. I don't know. I don't think we're looking at Gronk 2.0. And I think I think at the best we're looking at, I guess I kind of like the analysis I gave a little bit, where Gesicki is probably running a little bit more routes than Hunter Henry, and they use Hunter Henry to block a little bit more, but still Hunter Henry's a reliable receiver and has been with the team now for 2 years, so it's going to be hard to go away from that. I don't think it's going to be like Aaron Hernandez, Rob Gronkowski at all either. It's kind of a gross signing. Makes me want to throw up in my mouth. $9 million they're paying him when it's not even really that big of a need. I think you just kind of go get a normal tight end, especially since this is a stacked tight end draft class. I think you could have just brought in one of those guys, but oh well. Probably the worst possible landing spot for Mike Gesicki was the Patriots, and that's, of course, where he went. Yeah, we'll stay within the division here. The Dolphins are bringing in Braxton Berrios. Nothing too much to read into it. It's just interesting that he's staying within the division. They'll have a little bit of a slot guy for Tua, or they signed a quarterback, didn't they? It's slipping my mind right now, but yeah, a fine signing, right? A fine signing. They get Braxton Berrios. Good for them. Woo! Nothing to talk about too much there, though. There's an update on the Jalen Carter stuff. He did plead no contest, so he's going to go on 12 months probation, 80 hours of community service, have to take a driving course. And guys, this is the worst. This is the biggest deal. Jalen Carter has to pay $1,000 fine. Oh, I don't know what he's going to do about that. So he pled guilty to the misdemeanor charges of racing and reckless driving, I think it was. And I mean, he's basically getting a slap on the wrist. 12 months probation is no joke. $1,000 fine is a joke. 80 hours of community service is pretty good. And I mean, having to take a driving course, that's just something standard. Yeah, so I mean, if you guys tuned into yesterday's show, he did take a hit to his draft stock based on his performance at the UGA Pro Day. And this kind of not quite exonerates him, but I think NFL teams will be a lot less worried about, the ramifications of this crime, given now it's settled and now it's not necessarily too much in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, so yeah, it is what it is. This is kind of what happens with star athletes, especially ones in a city like Athens. They're not going to have too much happen to them at all. And yeah, I think if anything, we're just going to see him bust at the NFL level if he performs like he did at the pro day. But hopefully this can help him clear his mind and get back to work, because he was clearly just not conditioned well at all at the pro day. And thank you to TikTok. It was Mike White I was thinking of that the Dolphins signed. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. Great backup quarterback, by the way. Perfect backup quarterback for a team, especially with Tyreek Hill. Kind of nice, to be honest. I like that signing a lot. I think that's it for like the main signings and stuff. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Snyders have left the building for the Washington Commanders. They are expected to sell the team. And the sale should come in very soon. The Snyders are gone, their stuff is gone. So I think that's a good thing for the Commanders. Obviously one of the worst owners in the NFL, if not the worst owner in the NFL. And yeah, so it's good for everyone that they're leaving, to be honest. And then Nasir Adderley, the former Chargers cornerback, is retiring at age 25. Makes sense. For some context, he had just finished his rookie contract. He was going to be a free agent. I'm assuming no one was really biting on offers or anything. So he finished out his rookie contract. He made $4.7 million. So good for him. And he's out. He's retiring. It makes sense, right? You get $4.7 million. That's plenty. He said he wants to focus on just his family and maybe owning a business and stuff. And I think that's a good path for a lot of these guys that aren't true stars at the next level. They make their bag and they get to retire before they get serious brain injury. So honestly, good for Nasir Adderley. Happy for him. I see I've got some questions here. Will Javonte be good when he gets back? I mean, I think he'll be good, right? I think he'll be good, but I think he's definitely going to lose some explosiveness. He ran a 4.6 40, and he's coming off a knee injury, and kind of his big thing was breaking tackles. And I mean, he's going to have some of that explosiveness zapped, no joke. So I think he'll be good, but I don't think we're going to see the Javonte Williams of old anymore. I think we're going to be looking at like the J.K. Dobbins kind of season that he had last year. Yeah, so it's rough. And the Broncos did sign someone, and I don't know why I can't remember that off the top of my head right now, Billy Bob, but I also believe that they're looking at drafting someone as well. So it's not going to just be Javonte. I think you can guarantee that for sure. And let's see. I don't see any questions here on the TikTok side. So that was it on the YouTube questions. And where would I take Khalil Herbert in a startup on the Instagram? I mean, I don't think I'm taking Khalil Herbert anymore with the D'Onta Foreman signing. I really don't. I know that D'Onta Foreman's not the biggest threat, but I mean, they're just so similar that I can't really get behind drafting Khalil Herbert where he's being taken. If he slips really far, like towards the real end of the draft, I wouldn't mind taking him and Foreman to just kind of see what happens, to have that insurance there. But yeah, I'm not really taking Khalil Herbert in startup drafts right now. Yeah, and I see one more question. Who I think will be the RB2 in Denver? I think they're drafting a rookie. So, I mean, just whoever they draft will probably end up being the RB2. Yeah, I mean, like Tyjae Spears or something like that. I don't think they're going to draft anyone early. But, like third round, which I guess is still technically early, they'll probably be looking at getting that running back for sure. That was P-Ryan. It was P-Ryan that they signed. This guy in the TikTok chat, FF Mad Scientist, thank you so much. I haven't drinking enough of my coffee, clearly, just not firing on all cylinders right now. But yeah, so Samaje Perine is definitely hurtful to Javonte Williams' value for sure, given he is a pass catching utility type running back. He's going to get volume, and that's going to hurt Javonte Williams for sure. But also, I mean, I think that kind of just says that, they're not expecting Javonte Williams to be 100% to start the season, but he could eventually get that a few weeks in, and that's when they will drop Samaje Perine a little bit. Chase Edmonds, he's asking a question. He actually did sign with the Bucs, so he's eating into Rachaad White's workload a tiny bit, just a tiny bit. I'm not too worried as a Rachaad White owner, but slightly worried, I guess. But that seems to be all my questions. And thank you all for joining me. As usual, it's been a fantastic week on the Wake and Take. Enjoy your St. Patrick's Day. Drink your coffee. Wear some green. If you're not wearing green, I'm pinching you again. I know I did that at the top of the show, but you're getting pinched again. Everyone's getting pinched if you're not wearing green, a virtual pinch through the screen. Thank you all for joining me again. You have a fantastic day.
Hey, you like that video? Be sure to subscribe and activate those alerts so you get notified as soon as new videos drop. And be sure to check out PlayerProfiler.com. We have all the tools for you to dominate every type of fantasy league. We have a draft kit, Dynasty Deluxe, data analysis, DFS Dominator, and don't forget the player rankings to rule them all.